Hey everyone, the Asset Stacker. So today I'm excited to show you one of my recent purchases. And today is going to be a silver purchase, which will be added to the can of silver that has been purchased so far in 2024. This can holds all the silver, as you can see. And of course, the box holds the gold. But today is going to be a silver purchase, and it's in this bag. So in an earlier video, you guys saw that I talked about how I used to buy my silver years ago, and that I would purchase my silver from putting ads on Craigslist. I told you I still do that. And this is going to be a purchase. I had someone contact me from an ad, and I picked up $50 face value of Washington quarters. But that ain't it. I also picked up $50 face value of something else, and I'll get to that in just a minute. I just don't want to mix them up. So I did, like I said, I did put an ad out. And I have not gone through all these, but I am about to. I'm going to, there's not really a whole lot in the Washington quarters that have any numismatic value. There may be a couple, and I have a recent gray sheet book, and this is going to be what was, well, this right here was my previous giveaway question. That's already done. So this is going to be, let me go to the Washington quarters in this book and you'll see what I'm talking about. Half dollars, quarters, dimes, Liberty quarters. We're getting closer, guys. Hang on just a second. Sorry about this. I should have had this page opened up. But as you can see, this is the recent gray sheet. And you can see that the Washington quarters started in 1932 and obviously went on up until 1964 as far as silver goes. But in looking at this, there's not really going to be a whole lot of these that are going to have any significant value. There are going to be coins like the 1934. This is a double die obverse. And as you can see, those are going to have some value to them. I kind of put this where you can see. And then, like I said, you've got a 1937 DDO. I don't know what these DDOs are. I'm going to have to kind of do a little bit of research on these and kind of figure this out. But right now, so, you've got the 1943 double die obverse, a 1943S. And as you see, like I said, some of these coins could actually have some value. I doubt that any of those are going to be in this. I do not know that for sure. And it looks like the other part of these are going to be, and I can't hardly do this, but you're going to have, I guess the next one that would have any value to it is a 1950 D over S. Or a 1950 S over D, it looks like. And those are going to have some value to them. But other than that, that's pretty much everything else is just going to be what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pause this video and I'm going to separate this $50 face value of quarters, and I'm going to move this stuff out of the way a little bit. And I am going to go through here and I'm going to separate these out and see if I could potentially have any coin that might be a DDO or a more significant dated coin. Something that I need to look at a little bit closer. And if I do, of course, obviously I'll have to figure out what these double dies are, what they look like, how to find them, and kind of go from there. But I'm at least going to get these separated out and see if there's anything that might be a possibility of something I need to look at a little bit deeper. But I'll bring you guys back in. Let me get all this sorted, and then we'll just kind of go from there. All right, so I have those broke out and have them organized by decades. So these are going to be the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s. Looking at it, it doesn't look like on the gray sheet that there's really anything at all in the 60s. So as you can see on the gray sheet, let's see, let's find these. 1960 starts right here. There's nothing from 1960 to 1964. There's really nothing worth looking at. So we're just going to add those into the can, and we're going to move on to the 50s. Now, as far as the 50s goes, there's really only 1 year in the 50s that I'm interested in trying to find, and that is going to be the 1950. And I'll have to look at the mint mark on those. So as you see, the 1950, they're going to have the D over S or the S over D. I'm going to pull out all of the 1950s out of the stack. And if there are any, I'll bring you back in. If there's not, then we're going to move on to the 40s and the 30s. So there's more potential for better high dollar coins in the 30s and 40s than there's going to be in the 50s and obviously the 60s. So let me go ahead and see if there's any 1950s. I'll pull those out and we'll take a closer look at those together if I have any. So stay tuned for that. All right, so I have all that separated. I did end up with 3 1950s that we can take a closer look at. But as for all the other ones, those are going to be discards. And I'll drop those in the can. And we will look at these together. So, as you see, these are all 1950s. So we got to see, like I said, the book says that what we need to look for is going to be a D or an S. And this one is a D. And from what I can tell, it's just going to be a D. It's not going to be a D over S. So as you can see, it does look like that's just going to be your standard Denver Mint coin. The next one does not look like it is a Denver. And you know, I may have to actually put these under a microscope to see. I do have a microscope. And I may go back and take a look at these before I drop them in the can. But as for now, it's also a Denver. And I'm not seeing any indications that that D is over the top of an S on any of those. But for now, I will set those right there. And we will maybe take a better, closer look at those with a microscope, or I may do that outside of this video. But next, I am going to start with the 40s. So, on the 40s, according to the gray sheet, there's a few more things that we do need to look for. So, a 1943 double die. So I'm going to have to, like I said, the 1943 Philly and the 1943 S. So those are going to be two that I look for. Looks like a 1942 has a DDO. I don't know what the FS101 is. I'll have to look that up online to see what it is that goes with that. There's obviously going to be some other coins here, but they're not going to be graded. They're not going to be in the lower mintage or lower grade condition. So I don't know what they would be worth. Obviously, they're worth something as it gets up there in the high, but none of these are going to be anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull out 1942s. I'm going to go with 1942 Ds. I'm going to pull all of those, and then 1943 and the 1943S. I will pull those, and that, I do believe that's it. I don't think there's anything. Yeah, there's nothing else in the rest of the 40s. So 1942 and the 1943s. That's going to be what I'll focus on. So I'll get those separated out on the 40s, and I'll bring you back in. All right, so I have all that separated out. These are going to be the discards. These are not 1942s or 43s. These are the 42s, but unfortunately, they are not what I'm looking for. There was nothing in the 1942. So the 1942 Really, the only thing that I'm looking for in the 1942 is a 1942 Denver, and every one of these were Phillies. 1943, I did end up with a Denver in the 1943, but that's not what we're looking for. In the 1943, I am looking for the Phillies, which I do have 2 of the Phillies. All right, no mint mark, so that's a Philadelphia. And then I have the 1942, let's see, I'm sorry, 1943 S. And I did have 2 of those. Now, the S's, both of these are going to be double die obverses. And that's where I'm going to be kind of needing to do some research to find out. To me, just looking at it with you, I haven't looked at these up close until looking at it with you. And they do not, this one, at least the 1943 S's, they do not look like they're double dyed. But they are kind of worn pretty good too. I probably need to look it up before I throw those in the can. As you see, this coin, this is the 43 Philly. And it's supposed to be double dyed on the obverse as well. And it's probably going to be in the lettering, I would imagine. But again, these are in such bad shape. They're kind of worn pretty bad. But I'll have to look those up through a scope just to see. But that is going to be probably no good. So I'm probably not even going to bring y'all back in on these up here in this video unless I get up there and find out that yes, indeed, there was something good in it. Then I'll put it back in the video so you guys would know. So that leaves us with the 1930s. And the 30s, they have a little bit more to offer. So we do have a 1932 D and S. And if I can find one of those, that's going to be a pretty decent coin to have. It looks like it's probably going to be a low mintage coin. The gray sheet doesn't have the mintage beside it, so I don't really know. But as you can tell by looking at it, I'm assuming these are going to be low mintage because you got a 32D and a 32S. And in low condition, low grade condition, they're still worth quite a bit. You got a DDO that's going to be on a 1934 Philly. I'll be looking for that. 1937 Philly DDO. And that looks like those are going to be it pretty much. 39D is not really something unless I had a really nice specimen, and I'm not going to have that in this. So what I'm going to look for, again, is going to be the 1932s. I'll pull those out, and then I'll look for the D and the S. 1934s. And then the 1937. So that's going to be the dates that I pull from the 30s. So hopefully I'll have some of those in here and we can kind of look over those together. Let me get this separated out and I will bring you back in. All right, so I have that separated out. There wasn't a whole lot that I was looking for. Those were all the discards. There was a 1934 Philadelphia. Now, this one, according to the book, there is an opportunity for there to be a DDO on it as well. Again, it doesn't appear to me that there's any doubling. But that being said, I will get online and try to figure out what to look for. And I will take a look at that one. It'll be worth looking into. And we'll see if there's anything possible that might be. If it is, I'll bring you back. This one I'm definitely going to take a look at a little bit closer. This is the 1937 Philadelphia. And this one in low grade, there's a DDO on this one. I need to find out what it is, what to look for. I don't see any doubling on this one either. But in low grade G4 condition, this would be a $100 coin. So it's definitely going to be worth me looking into. If I find any doubling on any of these in the quarter series, I will definitely bring you back in and let you know that. But that's it for the quarters. But like I said, I did purchase $50 face value in something else. And that is going to be one of my favorite coins of all. And there's a lot to go through. So you are looking at $50 face value of Mercury dimes. Now, the guy that I bought this from, he did think that when he was counting these out and we were going through these, he's like, I know that there were supposed to be one Washington dime in here. So he threw in another Merc, thinking that he may have put a Washington. I didn't care. To me, I was just buying silver. But that being said, there's probably going to be I said Washington because I was doing quarters. There's going to be a Roosevelt dime in here, probably. At least he thought he may have put it in here. So that being said, I should have a little bit more than 500 or $50 face, which would be 500 coins. So there may be 501. So we'll go through here. I'm going to separate these out. This will take a little bit of time. I'm going to separate these out by decades. And then I'm going to show you the gray sheet and show you all the possibilities of finding some good coins. I asked him, had he gone through these, he said that these would probably be worth going through again. He doesn't know if these were some that he had gone through or not, but he did tell me that it would probably be worth my time to go ahead and just take a look at them. If he didn't, I bought them for silver value anyway, and I got a deal on all of this. So if there's nothing in here, that's great. If there is, that's just icing on the cake, but I still was able to purchase this under spot. So I bought $100 face value, and I paid under spot at the time of purchase. So he asked me what I'd be willing to pay. I told him what I would like to pay, and he was fine with that price. So we made a deal. I met him, and he actually met me halfway. We met somewhere public, and we did the deal. So, and he's got a lot more. So possibly I could be buying some more from him in the future. So we'll see. But let me get these separated out, and I will let you see what we have. All right, everyone. So that took a little bit. So as you see, this is all the 40s. These are the 30s, the 20s, and I did find a few teens. And while going through that, it turns out that he actually did put in 2 of the rosies inside, and they are both silver. And as you see, my hands are dirty from messing with these coins, but these are not of interest to me. The 1951, I don't think it's going to be anything special. But again, I'll just go ahead and drop those in. So what we're going to do is, if you look at the gray sheet, the only teens that's really, it started in 1916. The 1916D is obviously a good coin. I'm probably not going to have that. And I just looked to see, like if I saw that it was a 1901, I didn't look necessarily at the last date. I did catch a glimpse of a 1917, and if it's a 1917D, that will be a good coin. So we're going to start with the teens. There's nothing in the teens, like I said, from 1916 to 1919. The only 2 coins I'm really going to be looking for is a 1916 and a 1917. So anything else will just be put in the discards. And this is a 1919. So I'm not even going to worry about the mint mark on it. That looks like a 1919. And that's the thing about it, is these older ones are going to be worn down pretty good. So this is a 1917. And let's see if we see a mint mark. And that is an S, I believe. If you look right here, that looks like an S to me. So a 1917D is actually what I'm looking for. So this is not going to be anything significant. Let's see, a 1918, not going to be anything. Another 1917. Like I said, we're looking for a D. And I do not see a mint mark on that one at all. So that's a Philadelphia. Another 17. I didn't realize I had so many 17s. And that's going to be an S as well. And then a 1918. So that's it for the teens. I did find a few of those. Those will just go into the canister or the military can. All right, so now we're going to look at the 20s. The 20s are going to be, let me get the gray sheet over here so you can see it. All right, so the 1920s, I would say a 1921 and a 1921 Denver. Might be interested in a 1926, and that's probably going to be it. So a 21 and a 26 are going to be the two years that we're going to be interested in. So let me get you set back up. All right, so we have a 23, a 29. All right, so what did I say we're going to look for is a 1921 and a 1926. So we have a 1920, a 23, a 20, a 25, another 20, and then the last few that we have are going to be a 1923, 28, a 23, 23, another 20. And you see some of these older ones are pretty slick. A 28 and a 1920. So there's nothing in the 20s that we would be interested in, so that will go in as well. All right, so that's going to leave us with the 30s and the 40s. Now, I do know that in the 30s, let's see, it doesn't look like the 31 Denver would be a coin that I would try to probably keep out. Probably a 31S, but it doesn't look like there's anything else. So the 1931 D and 31S are going to be the only coins that I pull out. So to keep this video from being too long, I'm just going to go through and separate out all the 31s and see if I see any. If I do, I will bring those back in after I sort these out. The rest of them I'll get ready to throw in a can. All right, so I went through all the 30s, and there was not a single 1931 in the stack. So we will be adding every one of the 30s to the can, and we'll get ready to start on the 40s. I do love the sound of silver. All right, so these are the 1940s, and as you see, there's quite a few of those. However, the 1940s, there's really not a lot in the 40s. The only thing that's in the 40s that's worth looking for is going to be the 1942 over the 1941. That's good for the Denver or the Philadelphia Mint, either one. But that's an error coin, and that's really the only thing that's in the 40s that's worth looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start separating all these out. I'm going to get the 40s, the 1942s all separated, and then we'll just discard everything else until, well, there's just, like I said, there's just really nothing worth looking into. So let me get all those sorted out. That's going to take me just a minute, and then we will, I'll bring you back in. We'll see what we have. All right, so here we have all this. These are all of the 1942s. Everything else is just going to be a discard. And there's a lot of silver to go in the can. Like I said, Mercury dimes are my favorite dimes. They're really probably close to being my favorite silver, constitutional silver coin. Very difficult looking at dimes, the dates. And it seems that the older I get, the harder it is to actually look through them. So anyway, dimes are tough. That's the reason why I like Mercs, is because every Mercury dime is a silver coin, as to where the rosies are not necessarily silver. So I'm going to try my best to go through these, and I don't know, the video's getting kind of long, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this in 3 different batches. I'm going to go through this stack off camera. If I see anything that I think might be worth looking at, I'll bring you back in. If not, I'll show you, let you know that, and then I'll do the second stack and then the third stack off camera. So let me go through this and I'll get back with you and let you know how it turns out. All right, so as expected, there wasn't anything in the first stack, but it's still fun going through them. And these are they're kind of rare to find these, so that is why they're worth so much money. Now this one right here, take a look at this one. This one, I do like the shine. The coloration on this one, that is a pretty coin. It's kind of worn. There's not a lot of details to Liberty, but the coin itself, it's got a good toning on it. But anyway, like I was saying, the 1942, they are the 1942 over the 1941. It's a very easy coin to spot, and they are kind of rare. So you can kind of go through the 1942s kind of quickly. So I may show you a few of these. As you see, if there was a 1 underneath that 2, it is noticeable. My grandpa, my mother's dad, actually, like I told you, he loved to metal detect. And that was one of his prize finds, is he actually did find a 1942 when he was metal detecting. And he loved that coin. And my brother ended up with that coin, so hopefully one of these days I can talk him out of that and get my hands on it. But we're about at the end of the second stack, and as you can see, like I said, the date, looking through this lens, is very easy to see. And if you had one, it would definitely stand out. So I'm going to go through this last stack. I'll do it off camera, and then I'll kind of do a wrap up because this video is getting kind of long. So hang on just a second. All right, that's a wrap, guys. So I did not find anything in the last stack as well. So that is a wrap up of my purchase. But as you see, we're definitely filling up this can. I don't know that I'll get this can filled up this year, but it is fun trying to see how much I can put in it before the year's up. Like I told you, I'm going to try to look up these double dies. I don't anticipate there's anything in any of those, so those are probably just going to go directly into the can. So I'm going to do a wrap up on this. That's going to be the end of this video. I do appreciate you watching. Still trying to do my gold for sure. I just been picking up silver. I do have another silver order that came in for this month. I'll be doing another video on that. It was some silver that I purchased on the dip. I ordered it online, and it just turned out to be perfect timing earlier in the month, and I did pick it up, and that did come in the mail, and I've actually got to get that opened up and check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to opening it, and that'll be my wrap up for this month, for the month of August of 24. That should be the last purchase that I have for this month, unless something comes in on another Craigslist ad. So, but either way, I do love the sound of silver, and I enjoy constitutional silver. It is the base of my stack. So I do appreciate you watching. If you made it to the end, let me know, and I do appreciate it. And remember, we stack our wealth one asset at a time, so keep stacking.